Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Leo for October 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where if you are drawn to my courses, then I can assist you in becoming geographically free and in a vocation that you love. And also look out for my new school that's going to be opening for registration in the middle of September. So what's going on in the month of October? We've got a lot of things. We've got a Jupiter sign change. We've got the luckiest day of the year. We've got lots of amazing aspects, a couple of dicey ones. We're going to go over all of that in the general transit. The way I work these videos is that the earlier part of the video is specific to each sign. The later part of the video is the general transits, which are the same for everyone. So if you watch for both your rising sign and your sun sign, you'll notice that the end part of the videos is the same because that information covers every sign. And I want to make sure that every sign has access to all of that information. So I list that, including, I include that in every video. It's not a bad idea to listen to it twice though either because it's a massive amount of information. So let's talk about Leo. I'm calling the theme of the month for Leo's happy finances. And this is because you've got the second house very nicely accentuated. Early degree placements have Venus and Mars there, and Venus and Mars in close contact. Middle degree placements have the Sun, Mercury, Mars, and Venus there. And late degree placements start out the month with Mars and Mercury there, and later in the month they have Venus and Mars join the party. So this is, between 2 and 4 of the personal planets highlighting a house. That makes it a very prominent part of your short-term story because the planets that are closer to us, the ones we call the personal planets, which are the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, they move kind of quickly, right? So where they are now, they're not going to be there in a short amount of time, and that's what brings us the freshness, the different energy in each monthly horoscope is where these quick-moving planets are. So they're highlighting a field of experience. All the houses in astrology are fields of experience that we have as humans, and as the planets move through there, they bring their essence to that house. So all of you have the essence of love, beauty, and money brought to your second house. And this can bring confidence in what you have to, it can bring confidence that what you feel creatively you're bringing, that people really need that and really people can benefit from that. I have a lot of Leo people close to me, and I'm a Sag and fire blends very well with me. And some of my Leo friends are some of the funniest, most wild, creative, just amazing energies. And they're always making people laugh and always inspiring people to do things different and bold. And there are so many Leos that aren't making their money from this way of being. They're doing this stuff on the side or for their friends or whatever, this is the acting energy. These are our thespians, the dramatic faces and responses and, just things that make us want to look. It's very wonderful. But this month, you can start to understand this gift in a deeper way where you see the value that it brings, and you might be able to monetize this. So this month is very much about monetizing anything. It doesn't even have to be your gifts. It could be totally something, just an idea that you have. It's not even related to the other things that you're good at. But there is a long-term theme for Leos to be taking that fire and putting it out in the world in magical ways and not just devoting too much energy to a job that doesn't make them sizzle with creativity. So the self-esteem, Venus can also bring money. So this transit can actually bring you income directly. So money can come in to your earned income from this placement and from the other placements as well, but specifically Venus rules money. Mars in a chart shows us what we're hot on. I always call it the border collie of the zodiac. Sometimes you hear my dog jingle or do other things, dog things. I have 2 border collie mixed dogs, and I'm around this energy a lot, and I'm kind of a little bit like this myself. So It's all over the place. It's vibrant, right? And Mars, that's what Mars is. Mars is what we find ourselves doing. So wherever Mars moves in a chart, you find yourself just completely focusing your energy on that space. So Leos are going to be really, really, really focused on making money. Maybe it's out of necessity, like, oh crap, I gotta make some money, right? Or maybe it's just your business is doing well and you're very focused on expansion. And the timing is really fantastic for this because we are in this open window from September 20th through November 15th. We're doing new things, launches, bringing things out into the world, starting new businesses, starting a new leg of a current business, trying different things in a big way is very much indicated, and the short-term energy tells of some boosts to your finances as a major potential. Now, the words a major potential are very important to note here. I think that many people watch horoscopes to see what's going to happen. Okay, so I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But when we look at astrology, we look at possibilities and probabilities. It's numerical, it's mathematic. There's an increase in potentials in certain areas when certain planets are doing certain things. So it is a numbers game, it is a probabilities game. I've seen many a time for myself and other people, something I would say there's a 90% chance that certain thing's gonna happen and it doesn't. But there's a 90% chance, so it usually does, right? But the key here, and I always talk about this and I'll continue to talk about this because I see my work as a spiritual teacher transcending astrology. Astrology is my tool to help show the spiritual principles that are part of the game of life. Because when we understand the spiritual principles, then we can play the game better and have more enjoyment and fulfillment and do what we're supposed to do here. So this principle is that all of the astrological potentials in the world are not going to make something come to fruition. If you have a block within you, if you have a paradigm, some sort of belief system, limiting something within you that makes you not a match for the things you're trying to do, they're not going to manifest. So you've got to shift those things internally. So see these things as potential and use your intuition and the synchronicities to guide you around, and even ask your subconscious mind, thank you for showing me the blocks to what I'm trying to do with my finances here. Thank you for showing me what I need to do and what I need to see so that I can make those shifts. And then thank you for helping me shift them. And then thank you for bringing my life to a new level of abundance. Abundance can be achieved in many different ways. One way is that we can spend less money. There are some things that people spend money on that if they budgeted differently, they'd have a lot more abundance. Some things we think we need, we don't. So it all comes back down to values, and this house is the house of values. So assessing what your values are, getting on, a clear path of what it is that you value. And if you're with a partner or working with a partner for work, or you have a romantic partner, or with your family, understanding what someone else's values are help you to better be on the same page so that you can work on your values in common, and the things you each have that are individual values. If you understand that about someone else, you can work better in partnership. What we create is very much based on our values. So the value system is definitely being looked at here and evaluated with the energy in the second house. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Leos this month. Now I want to talk about the luckiest day of the year. I want to talk about Jupiter moving into Scorpio and the long-term theme that's bringing about. And I want to talk about a lot of other dates with transits, some really good ones and a couple of dicey ones. So let's talk about that now. So I'm calling the theme of the month for all signs, purge and merge. And this is from the short-term and actually now introduction to this long-term energy in Scorpio that is being brought in as a theme. We've got personal planets which move more quickly and talk about the energy over a number of weeks, moving into the sign of Scorpio. But we also have Jupiter changing signs into the sign of Scorpio, and it will be there for a year. So, do you ever notice that when you clear out a shelf, before you know it, the shelf is full again? This is just an example of how energy moves. Space wants to be filled. So the best way to usher change or new things in is to make space for those things. And so this energy this month is very much about releasing so that you can make room for more things to come in. And there will be a strong theme, a Scorpio-based theme about what those things are that will be coming in. So we're talking about purging items and beliefs and dynamics, anything clutter, anything that is no longer serving you. If you have a way of looking at something that is limiting you, then we're talking about letting go of that idea or that way of seeing things. You know, this is a very all-encompassing release and letting go. So some themes that are going to be present this month as the general transit story for everyone, but again will be present as this kind of constant long-term theme for around a year, also has to do with anything Scorpio based, basically. So psychology, astrology is in there from the psychological perspective of astrology. Any esoteric or occult studies, you know, so basically exploring the riches of the lesser seen realms. That's the energy of Scorpio, the things that are lesser seen, intangible things. The topic of other people's money is a big one. So anything involving loans, debt, credit, capital funding, inheritances, marital money, parents' money, inheritances, I said that one already. Anything having to do basically were resources that come to you from somewhere else. So investments, anything kind of hard to, stocks are really, they're intangible. And that's what places them in this realm, and loans and money that's somewhere present on paper, but it's hard to track where the money actually is. That's the eighth house dominion. So sweepstakes, lottos, lotto winnings, anything like that, financial support or assistance of any kind, empowering others or being empowered yourself in any way, the process of self-empowerment, the journey of self-empowerment, research, investigation, intimacy, sex, power, birth, death, rebirth, like the phoenix rising from the ashes is basically this energy of Scorpio. So these are the themes that are really dominating the energy now, and they will be for a while to come. So now I want to talk about a couple of other noteworthy things before I get into some of the individual transits. Remember that we are still in this last window of the year for launching things, pushing things forward. Towards the end of September, we started this open window free from personal planets being retrograde, and that continues until November 15th. So all of October is in this open window if you're trying to make a big decision, if you're trying to push something forward, if you want to move, sign a lease, sign a contract, there are lots of open energies where communication is flowing more freely because of not, being in detriment from the retrograde. So take as much action as you feel drawn to, don't make yourself too crazy over it. This open window time is a time to push a little bit. It's time to push, but you always have to honor your own intuition with that, because sometimes it happens so often. I can't tell you how often I see this happen with people that I work with and myself. If I think I should be doing something, or you think you should be doing something, and then you're not, and then time passes and something happens and you're like, oh gosh, I'm really glad I didn't do that thing, It's because that was intuition holding you back. You might have thought it was fear, you might have thought you were being lazy, but the more you tune into your intuition, you can tell the difference between something energetically telling you to wait and some sort of issue within yourself that you have to overcome to be able to move forward. It's a very tricky dance to try to figure out when you're supposed to push a little harder to get through something and when you are supposed to be honoring the things that seem to be saying hold off. But in any case, you'll have a lot of opportunity to push through limitations and do certain things anyway, work a little bit harder during this open window. And then you can have lots of notable outcomes in the months and even beyond that to come. This is the last window before the well, I guess it's the second to last window before this big wall of retrogrades that we have next year. Next year, most of the year is spent in a personal planet retrograde, and usually more than one personal planet being retrograde at once. We've got the Mercury retrograde cycles, we have a Venus retrograde cycle, and we have a Mars retrograde cycle. So a little bit into January through the beginning of March is our only really open window all of 2018 without a personal planet being retrograde. So for launches, pushing things forward, there's a little space there somewhere around the beginning of May. I think I have to go back and check that, but I know that there's a little, very small window somewhere else if you have to push a couple of things in later on into the year. But otherwise, the whole thing is dominated by retrogrades. So if you're going to launch a website, launch a YouTube channel, launch a book, start a business, officially get, documents that LLC or whatever you're going to do, something official. You want to try, if you're intuitively led this way, to get these kind of things done in this window or in the window that's early in 2018. So hopefully you can find your balance between what you have to push through and what Spirit might be telling you to hold off on. So we do also have one of the luckiest days of the year this month, which is around October 26th. The actual transit of the Sun joining with Jupiter happens on the 26th. Sometimes you feel that energy the day before, sometimes you feel that energy the day after. But it's just very lucky and very wonderful and very well lit up. I remember last time this happened, last year, I was expecting it on the day, that the transit was happening, but the day before was when it hit for me, and it was just like, whoa, this is so Jupiter Sun, so just follow the flow, because we give you these dates as guidelines, but the energies, the manifestations from transits can happen before or after the actual transit. So you have to be feeling into them. And a lot of times there are transits going on at the same time. So like a really good transit could be happening right at the same time as a challenging one. So you have to really tune in to make sure things are flowing for you personally and not just base your decisions on a date per se. It's a very individual process because our charts are very complex and general horoscopes can't speak to all of the other things that are going on in your chart. Only you can feel that. Okay, so let's talk about some of these other aspects. We start out the month with a really beautiful aspect, Mars trining Pluto. So this is the second and last time that this aspect will occur. It occurred before on April 6th. So it can bring courage and confidence and determination. So if you need some oomph to push something through, then the energy around this time could be helpful with that. And you might feel that even towards the end of September, a few days before the October 1st or a few days after. On October 3rd, we have the follow-up here, which is Venus making a trine to Pluto. And this is all happening in Earth energy because Mars in Virgo and then Venus in Virgo are making the trine to Pluto and Capricorn. So this is very grounded, this is very stable, this is very practical. And there are lots of things that you can do with that energy. So Venus rules love, beauty, money. Mars rules, your energy, how you use it. And by the way, I am giving you some details about some of the transits that I see most notable for this month. But if you would like a written version of the general transits, then definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I send out a monthly newsletter like clockwork. If you have signed up for my email and you're not getting the emails, you need to contact me because there's something up. You could be going to spam or promotions or events folders or something like that because I send it out every month, a month early. So I'll be sending out this October one to my list in the beginning of September so that you have a visual version of the general transits because sometimes it's easier to process that way and to keep track and to make your plans. Okay, so on October 5th, we have a full moon at almost 13 degrees of Aries. Full moons bring fullness and completion and sometimes drama and sometimes things coming to fruition in a magical way. It's a welling up. I always think of it as a dog shaking off water because water represents emotion, and that's what we do at the full moon is just like a shaking off of all this emotional buildup in our fields. You might notice if you spend a moon cycle connecting with the earth, like putting your bare feet and hands in the earth, even laying on the earth and doing emotional clearing exercises, that the energy buildup at the full moon might be a little bit more manageable for you. If you happen to be overwhelmed with the emotions of the full moon, then you can experiment with trying to discharge energy from your field for the cycle before and see what your personal rhythm is. But the fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama comes in the sector of individuality and self-image. So this can bring a lot of attention to you. This can mean a lot of people are looking at you. It could also mean that you weren't looking at something within yourself that you have to. Sometimes there is a symptom or a health ailment that you've been ignoring, and sometimes a full moon in Aries will bring it up, bring it to fruition. Speaking of which, I wanted to mention earlier, I want to make sure to mention now, is the state of our adrenals very much is related to how we experience astrological transits, because our adrenals rule a lot of different things. It's very complex, the amount of physiological things that are connected to the adrenal glands. But when we're running on overtime, stressed all the time, our adrenals get burnt out. And people joke about this and say, oh, my adrenals are shot, and they go on with their lives. Well, if you hear any message from this video, I hope it's take your adrenal state more seriously than any astrological forecast, because how you tolerate stress, how you make decisions, how you hold anger, how you respond, how you tune into your heart messages and your intuition is all going to be connected to the state of your adrenals in many cases. So when the transits come and exert pressure on you, if you're already super stressed and your body is just overwhelmed because you're not babying your adrenals, then you're going to have more of a challenging experience processing challenging things that come. It's harder to handle things gracefully when your adrenals are stressed. So you've got to check in with your doctor and yourself and your own research to see what the best way is to balance and be nice to your adrenals, but definitely feel into it, because because things like this can supersede some astrological things, or at least definitely shift how you experience the astrology and put you in a more clear position to use the positive energies while softening and mitigating some of the challenging transits. Okay, so October 8th, we've got Venus in Virgo square Saturn in Sagittarius. So pressure is put on finances and relationships and likely self-esteem. Whenever Saturn is in a challenging angle to a planet, the pressure and stress is they're the key words that come along with this. And since Venus rules love, beauty, self-esteem, money, some pressure will come there. Then we have on October 9th, Mercury and the Sun together, okay, and in Libra, and those are both squaring Pluto. So again, when you have a square, this is a challenging angle. This can be stressful. So negativity and suspicions could run high now. There could be an antagonistic force coming towards you, or it could be an internal source, which usually it is under the guise of an external force. But very often, especially when Pluto is involved, there's inner riches to come out. So sometimes we get lazy, and unless we have a bit of pressure, we don't find places within ourselves that are waiting to be revealed. So this could be a little pressure, this could be a little stress, but you also could find some hidden riches from that. On October 10th, this Jupiter entering Scorpio that I spent some time talking about before. So this is going to last for around a year. Jupiter transits are around a year. On October 11th, we've got Mars squaring Saturn in Sag. So you notice the trend here. Obviously, Mars and Venus are close together. And so Mars will make an aspect, and then Venus will make an aspect. So now here we have Mars making this, this square to Saturn after Venus already made the square. So this is, whenever Saturn's involved, there's usually like some sort of older or allegedly wiser or more established energy, or someone who happens to have the say, even if they're not older or wiser, a Saturnian force that's working against your movement. Mars represents movement. Trying to be a perfectionist at this point might be harder now. So just kind of feel into that, because flexibility might be able to push you through this transit a little bit better. October 12th, we have Mercury and Saturn in a nice angle. So this is good for concentrating and figuring out solutions. So if you have anything come up from the previous transit with Mars and Saturn, then this could be assistive to you. October 15th, we have Mercury in Libra opposing Uranus in Aries. Whenever the planet of communication is opposing this random, erratic, or seemingly random and erratic force of Uranus, you know, it definitely increases nervous tension. So using all of your tools to support your adrenals, to keep yourself balanced now, because there's going to be a tendency to rush into things, into agreements. And it's not the best thing to rush in. If you're feeling very nervous, you have to make a decision, then you might be better off not making the decision if you can help it, because making it from this stressed place could have annoying repercussions. So on the 16th, we've got the Sun in Libra making a nice angle to Saturn. So this can bring a burst of support or respect from someone in charge or someone who you admire. October 18th, we have Mercury in Scorpio making a conjunction to Jupiter in Scorpio. So we talked about, and I'll mention again, this Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio aspect on the 26th. Mercury coming and joining with Jupiter also carries good luck and also carries positive energy and good news. It's one of the typical transits of good news. So that's happening. And then on October 19th, we have the new moon at 26 degrees of Libra. Whenever there's a new moon, there are new open possibilities, and you make your 10 new moon wishes now on the subjects of Libra. So anything about partnerships or relationships of any kind, diplomatic communications, anything about trying to resolve, find a win-win solution, work together on a project, anything. And of course, not coincidentally that I'm mentioning this, Libra rules the adrenals. So this is all of the Libra energy this month is really assistive, and I would think it's a good idea to make one of your wishes. Please help me to really support my adrenals and keep them in a balanced state, or better yet, say thank you for my perfectly functioning adrenals. And then you feel that as if it's true. You feel yourself being emotionally balanced and mentally clear. I have a video that talks about using astrological power periods, how you can most use those energies. So if you just search for Making Wishes Annie, anywhere on the internet, I'm pretty sure that comes up. If not, you can find it on my channel. So on October 24th, we've got another sweet aspect with Mercury trining Neptune. So this is a sweet, dreamy aspect. It's really good for romantic or artistic or personal, quiet, spiritual ventures. The 26th, we have that Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter, which can bring lots of luck. On the 27th, we've got Venus in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So some challenges could come here, even though we've got a lucky energy the day before. So this is what I mean about these, dueling energies. We never know which energies are going to be more present when. So you just have to tune into your personal situation. And so the Venus square Pluto can bring this surfacing of deep issues regarding power, regarding control, especially as it relates to love and money and self-esteem. So it's not usually the best time to act on strong feelings, because you'll have a lot of, tension in your solar plexus. That's our control center, our third chakra. So this type of aspect usually brings up something that gets us tight in there. So always, of course, making a decision from that space isn't usually the best thing to do, but doing inner work or seeking other psychological support for the issue is very good at this time. And on the same day, we have another nice aspect, which is, and I don't want to say that the challenging aspects aren't nice. I just mean, we feel them. They make us feel bad sometimes, but sometimes the feeling bad can be productive, and so they can turn out to be nice, but that wouldn't be the first word we'd use to describe them. Whereas this Mercury in Scorpio making a nice angle to Pluto in Capricorn, this is something that can bring answers to deep questions, powerful breakthroughs, and intentionally using this energy for meditation and integration will go a very long way. So you can also have clear understanding of long-standing dynamics that involve relationships with people and money. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for the month of October. Definitely look at my website for a new offering I'm going to have available very soon, a new school that I'm starting. Also check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where I have my coach training, my online business course training. I have my astrology apprenticeship program, so you can see if there are still slots in those. And also check out my Train Your Brain subliminal bundles, where you can be shifting your neurological patterning as you listen to nice, relaxing outside sounds. And if you'd like to see more about what's up for you for the month for you, for your sign, check out my husband B.R. Newman's Taroscopes, and you can look him up under B.R. Newman, Neumann, or see them at imhelios.com. You can check out my website and all of my offerings at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter and get your written version of the general transits out. Also, other things come along with that sometimes. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.